うん。あ、just a moment. ちょっとすみません。もう始まっちゃうので、ごめんなさい。Okay. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce Mr. John Corral. He's based in Cambridge, Cambridgeshire, and he is managing director of Industrial Inkjet, in short, Oijc. And I know him since very long, almost from the beginning, because at that time he has been working for ZAR, and later he moved to at that time. What's the name of that integrator?
Xenia.
Oh, you have forgotten already. Oh, good. Yeah, yeah. And just by chance that I have been looking for somebody who represent, who find a customer and who supports the customer of inkjet head in Europe, because it is not easy for Japanese to go Europe and visit the customer and teach them how to use the head. But John knows already the very basic of inkjet and inkjet head. So I asked him to join, and we started work together. And he started from just one-man office, and then increased the number of employees, and always grows. And yeah, how many employees do you have now?
Yesterday was 62, I think.
And also
it's going up quite quick now. The
yeah.
virus is reducing and staff is going up again. So.
And you also have now the office in US, right?
Yeah.
Colorado?
Small one also in South Africa.
Ah, okay. So now that everybody knows, outside of Japan, even in China, that the Oijc, Industrial Inkjet, headed by Mr. John Corral. And what they are doing is very excellent. A small compact inkjet unit that is one of the main business, and also they represent Yakurika Minolta head about that history. But nowadays, that inkjet printing unit, print engine, color and monochrome is very successful. Okay, please start.
Okay, well, Ono-san, maybe you can make sure that the PowerPoint becomes visible.
Yeah, I see. Yes, we see.
It's in presentation mode, okay?
I think, yeah, it looks perfect.
Okay.
Inkjet utility printing. Yeah, very interesting topic.
Thank you. So hello everyone, my name is John Corral. As Ono-san says, I'm the boss of Oijc, or Industrial Inkjet, based in Cambridge in UK. My talk is about security printing, particularly about how inkjet is moving into security printing. Hopefully you can see the first slide now, contents.
Yes.
So I will talk about an overview of security printing and security applications. A little bit detail about the different market segments for security. I give some size examples, so how many machines you can sell for security printing. A little bit about market trends, how the market is changing, so changing in geography, in technology, and in particular in inks. Where are the new opportunities, which market sector is the best growth, and then a quick summary at the end.
Yeah.
I hope this is okay. So first, just to talk about what is security printing. Security printing is to prevent forgery, tampering, or counterfeiting. Security printing is to prevent some sort of crime, bad behavior. According to Smithers, security printing industry was worth $29.5 billion in 2019, going pretty quick. They predicted 36 billion by 2024. I suspect
yeah,
virus is
it's
not,
close.
COVID is not really, probably not really affecting this. We do not see much difference in security business in the last year. The contracts just continued through the virus as far as we can see.
Okay.
So what are the main market segments? This one is identity products, products to prove who you are. It's passports, ID cards, and driving license. And passports now you can split into two kinds, paper passport and polycarbonate or plastic passport. Then we have finance cards, credit cards, store cards. Brand protection, protecting, the product to make sure it is the real product, it's not a counterfeit product. Traceability, everyone is familiar, I think, with pharmaceuticals. Making sure that it's a real product and every step of the way to the customer is traced. Currency means money. And then there is also general security printing, things like government documents, application forms, examination papers. Go through these one at a time and explain a little bit more.
Okay.
Identity products then. On passport, inkjet is the dominant technology. So you see most passport printing machines are using inkjet.
Okay.
But a lot of them, it's actually modified desktop printers.
Okay.
So you see a big high-speed passport printing machine, and inside is 8 or 10 desktop printers. And the passports are being shared between all of these desktops. Desktop printers are obviously slow. They're scanning machines. So they have to parallel the passports through many machines, many desktop printers.
Okay.
That's okay, but the desktop printer cannot handle some of the new inks, some new security inks. The viscosity is too high for desktop.
Okay.
So this is pushing a change to industrial type piezo printheads. So this is why IIJ and Konica Minolta is getting business in this market, because the inks are changing and you cannot anymore run those inks in HP heads or Canon heads. They have to go to industrial piezo printheads.
All right.
For ID cards and the polycarbonate passports, laser engraving, laser marking is common. Now, what we're seeing at the moment is a combination of inkjet and laser. So in the left corner, you can see a Mullbauer card and the CMYK image of the lady's face. The black is laser and the CMY is color inkjet. And this is really how security printing is working. Time they tried to make it more difficult for the criminals to copy. And if you use two technology, this is more difficult to copy than one technology.
Okay.
And they call this layered, multiple layers of security. All the time in security market, the customer is saying, we need more layers. We need more technologies all coming together to print, to produce the product. This makes it harder for the criminal to copy. Financial cards. In this market, thermal transfer technology is still dominant. It's still number one. But more and more card machines now use one-pass inkjet system. The main suppliers are Datacard, Mullbauer, and Atlantic Zeiser.
Those three.
High-speed single-pass machines for printing credit cards or store cards. The main advantage of inkjet over thermal transfer is speed. So thermal transfer was slower than other card processors. Inkjet is faster. By other card processors, I mean things like programming the chip inside the card. Programming the chip is quite slow, and inkjet is faster than that. But thermal transfer was even slower than programming the chip. So this is why the market is changing to inkjet.
Okay.
This sector is growing fast, particularly in USA. Brand protection. So in many markets now, the manufacturers consider to prevent forgery, to prevent copying, counterfeiting. So they will add some security printing to the packaging of the product. Now, this security printing, obviously there is a cost. So typically what you see is high value product can afford this protection. Low cost product, maybe they can't afford to add such protection. So we tend to see in things like alcohol and tobacco, it can be worth to add some security printing.
Like hologram type.
Now this, I also mentioned cross-border movement of product. Now this is an interesting point. Sometimes it is not the product that is fake, is legitimate product, but the distribution chain has some bad behavior. So the manufacturer ships the product to a country where the price is high, but somehow that product ends up in a low price country. There is some smuggling across the border. Maybe the other way, they ship it to a low price and it ends up in a high price market. So sometimes what the manufacturer is trying to do is find out where is the bad guy in his distribution chain. Where is the bad behavior within the distributor network, within the shops? So what they're looking for there is not to prove fake product, but to track the product, to see which product end up in which shop. So this is quite often the reason for security printing when we talk about brand protection. At the moment, garment is huge. Fabric printing, so clothing. 1.8 trillion is estimated cost of fake garments. So it's not Gucci or it's not, I don't know, it's some fake. 10% of these garments are fake. At the moment, we see a big growth in trying to protect that business with security printing.
So you sell your security printer to China or where? Okay.
Now, when you start to think about brand protection, you also consider, is it a legal requirement? So pharmaceutical traceability, it's legal. You have to do it. You have to do it. Nobody worries too much about the cost of the print, the cost of the printer. But if you're just protecting the manufacturer's business, then you have to worry a little bit more about the economics. So in the beginning, it was things like software, mobile phone, perfume, because they are high value products and the cost of protection is not so expensive. As you get down into lower cost products, it gets more difficult to sell. The very first one we got involved in is the Windows sticker. So on the bottom of your laptop, if you have Windows laptop, there is a hologram. If you shine the UV light, you will see some individual code for the. in your printer. So that's been more than 10 years now. Those window stickers have, well, it's actually our inkjet. We actually produce the machines for those. This brand protection is starting to move from labels or packaging direct to the product, direct to the bottle or the can, particularly in alcohol market. Starting to put invisible security code on alcohol bottles. Piezo inkjet is used, but also continuous inkjet. Because the bottle is not a very predictable shape. The bottle is a strange shape. You throw the ink drops a long way to the bottle. So continuous inkjet technology has an advantage there. It can throw the drops a long way. Continuous inkjet can also use solvent-based inks, and maybe the cost of those inks is less than, say, UV inks for pH inkjet. As well as alcohol, we're starting to see bottled water protected this way. In the Middle East, there's a market for fake water. So now they start to add security features to the bottle just to protect the manufacture of the water. I mentioned already track and trace for pharmaceutical. This is obviously very big. According to the information I found, it's already $2.1 billion in 2019. Forecast to more or less double by 2024. This market is already important. It's already growing. It affects pharmaceutical and biopharmaceutical companies. Also medical devices, things like asthma inhalers. Cosmetic industry also uses this technology. So you put track and trace on bottles, on blister pack, on cartons, and on vial or ampoule. It means like small glass jar. Obviously, at the moment with coronavirus, that's the big one. That's the ampoule. An awful lot of security printing is going. Big point about this is not just the blister pack or the bottle of tablets. The outer carton must also be coded. The pallet that the cartons sit on must be coded. So you have at least 3 steps, 3 stages of packaging, all of which must have a unique code on them. When you start to look at this market, you realize that inkjet print is only a small part. There is, you know, in the picture you can see somebody is scanning the box. Okay, what is the scanner? What software is running on the scanner? How does the scanner communicate back to the shop? How does the shop communicate back to the product owner, the brand owner, or the manufacturer? So there is a big system required to track all the data. So the print itself is only a small part. International standards define how all of this communication happens in order that the product can be tracked from the manufacturer to the end customer.
What is EPCIS? What abbreviation EPC stands for?
EPCIS, I did know it yesterday, Ono-san.
Maybe
the IS is information system.
Okay.
It's something packaging information system.
Okay. P packaging.
I did look it up yesterday. It's gone.
It's okay. I will check it later with Google. Okay, no problem.
Another market segment is tax stamps. Well, this is fast growing for alcohol and for tobacco. Now, as it changes to fluorescent inks, you can see in the picture colored fluorescent. So this is fluorescent inks. As we change to those, you can't really anymore use, desktop type printheads. It's industrial printheads. It's fairly high speed printing. So now there's good opportunity for industrial inkjet printheads to print tax stamps. Why it's secure is you cannot buy these inks easily.
Okay.
Buy the inks everywhere, then it would be easy to copy.
Sure.
Easily make fake. Well, to buy the ink, you need to be approved and registered with the ink suppliers, and they're very careful to protect their business and not selling to just everyone. So the two biggest ones are Luminescence, who are now owned by Sunjet or Sun Chemical, and Sigma. So these guys are the main suppliers of these inks.
Sigma is, I think, they are based in Switzerland, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and they also sell now, it's a thermal inkjet head.
I think they actually supply machinery.
Okay.
Not just the ink, but they will also supply a complete system.
Complete system. Maybe former Olivetti guys are there.
Maybe Konica and all the heads in some of them.
Okay. All right. Good.
So now I'm going to move on to just two examples of how many machines you might sell in these markets. If we look at passports, the number of people in the world who have a passport is about 1.6 billion. Your passport lasts 10 years. So every year it means about 156 million passports need to be made. You could do that with about 800 passport printing machines, 800 high-speed machines. We estimate it's probably nearer 2,500 machines, because although passport office has high-speed machine, embassies and consulates, they need a much smaller, slower machine. They don't need high-speed print. So roughly speaking, we think it's about 250 passport printing machines are sold each year. So that's about the size of that market. Worth saying this business is very on-off or stop-start. So the countries will award a contract to the machine builder. Contract is for 10 years, and maybe after 5 years, the machine has to be upgraded with some new security feature. So it tends to be you get a contract and you're very happy, or you don't get a contract and business can be a little bit tough. Although there's a lot of smaller countries who maybe award small contracts. So we had an incident just in the last month. We had been quoting to supply to a machine builder, and quoting for 1 year. And finally they won a contract and they phoned us up and said, okay, good news is it's 50 machines. Bad news is you have 5 weeks. So this is kind of typical passport business. It's nothing, then rush. So these are typical passport printing machines. There's a high speed. The one on the right is a smaller machine that you might have in an embassy or a consulate. I want to hope I have a video that you can see. So Ono-san, please tell me. So this machine is kind of 2-pass. It prints the color and the black, it checks it, then it prints the invisible, finished. Another example of market size is ID cards and driving license. There is much higher demand for ID card than passport, but also the machines can print them much more quickly. Perhaps 3,000 to 6,000 cards per hour. So we estimate that the market is about 5,000 machines, presuming a 10-year life, about 500 machines.
Per year.
About 500 per year could be sold worldwide.
Okay.
And like passports, this is good business. This is a lot of machines that can go into the world market.
One question, is this 500, does the government is compulsory to obliged to split, should not rely on just one company, or do they split maybe 50, 100, you produce, rest of 200, you big company, you produce, or yeah, how does it work? So you can get 500 if you are lucky, you can get everything, or they have to split into maybe several companies to balance.
Well, so each country, it seems, and it's only my experience, they seem to award the contract to the supplier, but the supplier must have business continuity.
Okay, sure, of course.
So he must supply extra machines in case of trouble.
Okay.
Or he must make sure there is extra printing capacity somewhere in case of trouble.
Okay. Good.
But my experience is it seems to get awarded to one supplier. We were, a few years ago, we were involved in the bidding for UK passport.
Yeah.
The passport to come after Brexit. And I don't know if it's known in Japan, but there was a big surprise when the British government gave it to a French company.
Oh, really?
The post-Brexit passport went to a French company. So they didn't split it. They didn't give it, 1/3 here, 1/3 here. They just said, okay, everything goes to France.
Maybe they still want to have a good relation with the continent.
Yeah, it didn't work so good. It's now in Poland, I think, the last time.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
Okay, so that was talking about how many machines, how big is the market. If we look at geography, we start to think about the different areas, the different countries, and how security print changes. Typically, Europe is the technical. Europe is trying to have the most advanced security features. ID, certainly in passport print and ID cards. There is much more technical development in Europe of the technology. East Europe is big on tax stamps and big on traceability, so trying to prevent fake products. But they are more cost sensitive. So often they're looking at thermal print heads or just really simple low cost piezo machines. Machines. North America, there are not so many passports. Only about 48% of US persons have passport. We typically see the number of layers of security on documents or forms is quite low. Maybe not even invisible ink, just some barcode, just some traceable barcode. So in America, pharmaceuticals obviously is important. Traceability of pharmaceuticals is important. And then bank cards, finance cards is important. Africa is really interesting market.
Africa.
Africa. Now, African countries have a big push for decolonization.
Yeah, okay.
They want to be independent. They don't want to rely anymore on the countries, the Western countries that used to oppress them. But it's not so easy.
Of course.
For example, currency printing of money, African money, is still done outside Africa. De La Rue, G&D, and Overture are still producing the money for countries. I think a lot of that is because Africa still has a big problem with fraud and corruption.
Yeah.
That also means that they do really want very secure documents. They would love to have high-grade security, there's fraud, but often they can't afford it. So we see opportunities in Mozambique, Rwanda, Zambia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Kenya, Ghana. They love high-grade security. They can't really afford expensive machine. So it's a conflict. Check printing was very good business with mica ink, but it's falling. Nigeria is still about 20 million codes per month. Last 2 years, South Africa went from 20 million to 0. So check printing in Africa used to be good, but almost finished now.
Okay.
In Asia, we think passport will increase a lot. Only about 3% of Chinese persons have a passport. So that will grow as with economic development. As they get more wealthy, they travel more, they need more passport.
Yeah.
India, probably similar. India is probably similar. We see more and more passport or ID card business there. So there's two huge markets there. China, still a lot of check printing, so a lot of mica ink.
Mica ink.
Just looking at the world picture though, a lot of the equipment, the security printing equipment, is still coming from Europe or USA. Not is manufactured in Asia yet.
It's interesting. Yeah, because many machines, so home appliance or maybe a copier, for example, that was maybe Japanese company, but based in China. But security, the machine for security printing or security system is not came from Asia or China. I think that means maybe something. If they produce, they know how to decode it. Okay.
So that was talking about geography. Now I'm going to talk about technology, how the technology is trying. So we still see for some applications 360 DPI is okay. If it's covert inks like UV fluorescent inks, high resolution is often not needed. All you want to know is that fluorescent ink on my product? Is it there? So the actual print quality is sometimes not so necessary. Print photograph, you need 600 DPI head. And it's really the eyes of the person in the photograph. Very hard to do that with 360 DPI head.
Yeah.
So 600 DPI, 3.5 picoliter. This is typically used for passport and ID card and driving license.
600 DPI is enough, or maybe the next step they require 1200 or what?
Well, so far it's enough. If you look at the example in the photo, so there's a driving license. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, I see.
Different kind of vehicle this person is approved for. But anyway, like elephant. So in the yellow circle, there is some micro text.
Okay.
That is 0.8 point font. Now that's printed, well, it's KM 1800I head, 3.5 picoliter. So we can print very, very small text with 3.5 picoliter head. And this is good enough. This is suitable for microtext. What about speed? Most tax stamps or government document printing is currently on litho press or high-speed flexo. And 200 meters per minute is minimum. So anything you're printing, any inkjet that you want to add to government document printing, 200 meters per minute is going to be the minimum. Often now they're using Kodak equipment, Oijc, continuous inkjet, running 300 meters. So they'd really like 300 meters. If we move into currency print, roll-to-roll currency machines are typically 600 meters per minute. And that's really too fast for most piezo inkjet. Sheet-fed currency is slower. It's maybe 100 to 200. So that's more doable. So that's document printing or tax stamp. We're really looking at 200 to 300 meters per minute. Things like passport print or ID card print, speed is not a problem. The ink is usually faster than the card handling or the data handling in those machines. So those machines are much slower. What about inks then? There is a change to water-based. It's quite interesting why this change is being pushed. If a machine builder gets a contract to supply, let's say, a passport printing machines, it's a 10-year contract. What happens if after 3 or 4 years, the country bans UV ink? Then the machine builder has a big problem. He has a contract to supply, but he has no ink. And I think for this reason, people want to change to water now, in case in future, the country regulations change. So if you're going to sign 10-year contract, you have to be sure you can supply for 10 years. You don't want a problem in the middle. What about these high-end security inks, fluorescent inks or special inks? What we tend to see is high-end security like passport, they want fluorescent inks. More general security like government documents or store cards, more interested in haptic. Haptic means like 3D, 3D effects. You can feel something on the card. It's not a fake card because it has a texture on it. Tamper-proof inks, inks that you really can't scratch off. If you try to scratch off, you just damage the product. Now there is, on the high security at the moment, the big talk is IR up converting and IR down converting inks. On the next slide, I talk about them briefly. There are new materials coming. So passports are moving from paper to polycarbonate. Currency, money, is moving to polymer, to plastic.
Not anymore
So
paper.
this means new inks. And if it means new inks, then it's good opportunity for us. We're also seeing a lot of foiling, using foils and varnishes on ID cards and financial cards. Maybe a little bit technical, but when I was at school, I was taught that fluorescence is you put in high energy, high energy photon like UV, and you get out visible light, which is low energy. And the difference is called the Stokes shift. The difference in energy between the light going into the phosphor and the light coming out is the Stokes shift. At the minute, there is a big interest in anti-Stokes pigments. Remember, it's all about making it difficult for the criminal to copy. Now, these pigments, you shine infrared in and you get visible light out. Very special, they're anti-Stokes, that you put in many infrared photons and you get out one visible light photon. The picture you can see is using quite a strong laser and he's getting a tiny little green dot. These inks are not so efficient, they're not so bright, they're difficult to copy, they're difficult for the criminals to get hold of. So at the moment this is a big interest, but it doesn't look so exciting as the normal inks, but it's another layer of protection, another layer of security. So that's very big at the moment. Okay, so what are the opportunities then? ID printing, the change from paper to plastic means new inks. New inks means maybe the countries will also consider new technology.
Mm-hmm.
If they change the ink anyway, maybe they can change to inkjet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Combining inkjet and laser and ID printing is layered security. It's more difficult to copy. It's more secure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Piezo inkjet heads are fast and they certainly are suitable for high volume security printing applications.
Mm-hmm.
We do see some need that the small passport print I showed for an embassy, for a consulate. We see a need for those machines. They must be very reliable. They are in office on a carpet. So not have some guy going in and cleaning the machine. It's necessary to be a fully automatic, very reliable machine. Currency for inkjet, currency is almost untouched. So far, inkjet made almost no progress. The serial numbering on currency is done with mechanical numbering boxes.
Yeah,
you can see some in the right side.
Embossed,
But the countries are starting to think about color changing, changing fonts, covert security features like fluorescent inks. At the same time, they're changing from paper money
to polymer.
So this gives an opportunity to change to inkjet. We're finding speed could be a problem. If it's roll-to-roll currency, they want 600 meters per minute. That's difficult. They need to be sure any errors are detected. And they're very nervous about reliability. They want some proof that this inkjet system is going to be very reliable. And I think no country wants to be first. So a lot of countries are considering it. Everybody is a little bit nervous. Everybody is a little bit reluctant to be the first country.
I can understand, yes.
Another opportunity is gambling.
Gambling.
We put in a system a few years ago to print onto drinks carton and put a barcode. You scan the barcode and you win a prize. What was really interesting is a packaging print company where we put these lines. And we had to say to them, look, your waste product, your reject carton, how do you know that's not a winning carton? So you cannot let your staff take away waste cartons. They may be winning cartons. So the packaging company has to think now, okay, this has a value. This waste carton could have a value. How do we stop that? How do we control that? So the packaging company had to become a security printer. They had to think about the value of that code on that product. I'm going to try and just give you an idea of the speed. Tell me if you can see this video, please.
Yeah, it's moving.
I don't know if you could see that.
Yeah, every data is different, right? Yeah, of course.
And if you watch the numbers, in that time was 500 on each lane.
Okay.
So it printed 500 cartons, 5 cartons wide in that short video. That's the speed that we're printing. This is a video from the camera that's checking the code on every carton.
Yeah, verification.
Security, this has a value. So you have to know exactly which code went on which carton. You have to know the grade of the barcode.
Yeah.
So this is security print. It's very fast, a lot of data handling.
Yeah.
Other opportunities and tobacco, tax stamps. At the moment, they're really just wanting a barcode, but they're starting to look at more layers of security, fluorescent inks or more secure inks. Direct to products or alcohol. Again, piezo UV is ideal, but we competing with continuous inkjet and laser.
Mm-hmm.
And more packaging, anti-counterfeiting or checking for criminal behavior in the distribution chain. Putting an invisible code onto even coffee bag is maybe quite something that's going to be happening quite soon, we think.
Mm-hmm.
This one's really interesting. Russia has Chesnoznak, maybe I don't say it right. It means
Yes, it's like, yeah, okay.
honesty mark. And they're putting it on fast-moving consumer goods.
Uh-huh.
So basically, everything in the supermarket must have honesty mark.
Mm-hmm.
From January next year, milk, cheese, yogurt, butter, they will have unique barcode. Every milk carton, every butter pack will have unique barcode.
Mm.
You have to buy the barcode from the Russian government,
Okay.
the barcode data.
Mm-hmm.
High speed, 300 meters per minute, camera system to verify.
Mm.
The question for me is this traceability or really it's a kind of taxation?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the state getting some money from, you know, the milk carton, the milk packing companies, from the cheese producers? So I'm not really sure whether this is about traceability or quality.
Charging another tax.
Or really it's just a tax.
Yeah.
But if Russia can do it, how many other countries will do it?
Okay.
Okay, so nearly at the end then. Oijc has a range of products, print engines that we sell for different security printing applications. Summarize then, security print is a fast-growing market. Piezo drop-on-demand inkjet has a lot to offer in terms of ink capability, resolution, and speed. It's really quite a suitable technology for security printing. You can't just think about the printhead, you can't just think about the ink. The projects always need some verification, some checking of the print, some reports written in software to go back to the manufacturer of the product. So it's a system. Every project is really a system project, not just a printhead project. And all the time they look for more layers of security. So all the time is high-speed technical development. There's a lot of work inventing new security printing methods, testing them, making samples for the customer. I see a joining together of packaging printing and security printing. More packaging will have security. And the packaging printing company must be thinking more and more, here's also a security printing company. A little video, I hope I have time for it. Right now.
Mike. Okay. Do you hear me? Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, John, thank you. Just a one question. Just a one question. When you started IIJ in very early stage, so yeah, security printing. If you want to get that business from the government or some big company, I think maybe at the early stage, you might have some problem with the early startup or venture. So they don't yet trust. They trust only established already long history company. So do you have still that problem, or it is already done? So you are qualified as a reliable and stable and will not bankrupt the next 10 years at least. Are you okay now?
Well, I remember, Ono-san, you remember we were in a farm in the beginning,
Yeah.
a farm building.
Yeah.
And I remember a visit, maybe I shouldn't say who, but a very big security printing company.
Mm.
And I mean, we were maybe 8, 10 people then.
Mm.
Made some print samples for him with fluorescent ink. And the director of the company came and he took out the back and he said, "Who owns the company?" And so I did. "Okay, we are approving you for security print in our company." So, "Oh, thank you very much." And it didn't mean much to me, but once he approved me, once the industry knew that that company used our equipment, we sort of became accepted. And we found everybody else would accept us. I think we got accepted because we had the technology. Nobody else could make this code. Nobody else could make this print. And I think he had no choice. He needed the equipment for a big contract, and we were the only people who could make the print. So he took a risk on us, I guess.
Okay. That's
what we do. We go to security shows. You know, we take a booth. We stand there because it's cliquey. The English word is cliquey. It's a club. You have to go to the club and they see your face every year, and it's a little bit like that.
Okay. So at a very early stage, that big company's director both approved to you. And this is already a kind of certificate that this small company is approved by that big company. And that kind of rumor spread. And you are staying in that club every year. And now you are already approved by everybody. Okay. That's a good.
Once you are in the club, you are in the club.
Okay. That's very interesting story. Okay, thank you very much, John. I think, yeah, security printing, as you said, that it's heavily related with the packaging industry, of course, and yeah, money printing is another story. But the barcoding and chasing and traceability, I think it's heavily related with the packaging. And now e-commerce is becoming, because of COVID, it's growing. And more demand for that kind of traceability or anti-counterfeit is necessary. So I think if you are already in that club, I think your future is basically secured, right? Okay. Yeah. Thank you again, John. Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
It's nice to hear that. That your company is healthy and growing, and in that club. Thank you. We're done. See you again.
Bye.
Hope to see you again in this bar, in this pub.
Very soon.
Yes, hope so. Thank you. So, Mark, Joe, Mark, are you there?